It's just too cute. He looks just like me.
Everybody keeps saying you look like Riley.
What, Riley look like me?
Speaking of Riley, her dad's girlfriend popped up at the studio the other day.
I've been saying to Block, why wouldn't you reach out to Riley? Maybe he knows the vibe from you to him.
He made it that way. I haven't seen her in years. I haven't talked to him in like 2 years, something like that.
I said, did you bring a check? Because you know he owes pretty close to $50,000. Now, which one would he rather have, a lien on his house or his driver's license taken? If I was in Candy's shoes, I would have him to do it.
You guys, this family has never experienced anything like what happened inside Kandi Burruss's home. And believe me, no one is leaving this time unscathed. The cameras were in motion. It was oppressively tense. Then a moment occurred that was so dramatic, so embarrassing, so unimaginable that even the crew froze in utter shock. Because Momma Joyce did more than simply step over the line today. She reduced the line to ashes. She brought Ace and Blay behind closed doors, and without warning or mercy, and ordered a DNA test in secret. The family was broken when those results were revealed, not just shaken. Momma Joyce's eyes went icy the moment she opened the envelope, as if she had finally discovered the truth she had been waiting to wield as a weapon. Then she uttered the one sentence that brought the room to its knees. The father of these children is not who Kandi says he is. Heartbreak, anger, shock, and silence. Kandi burst, not simply became enraged. The daughter who always stood by her side, Riley, took a step back and whispered, "Mum, maybe you're the one hiding the truth." At that moment, Kandi broke completely, utterly. Her voice cracked, her hands shook, and her face burned with humiliation as she screamed, "You ruined my children's lives. You ruined me." The world is now wondering, is Kandi guilty? Did Momma Joyce expose the truth? As the family descended into anarchy, tears, yelling, and accusations. And whose children are Ace and Blay? Really? This is not drama. This is war. And it's only the beginning. Buckle up, because what unfolded inside that house didn't just ignite chaos. It turned a family into a battlefield, a mother into a suspect, and a grandmother into the most dangerous whistleblower this family had ever seen. When the truth cracked open, it wasn't quiet. It wasn't gentle. It was violent, raw, and loud enough to shake the entire foundation of Kandi Burruss's world. And it all started the moment Momma Joyce walked into that room, clutching those DNA test results like ammunition. There was no hesitation in her step, no guilt in her eyes, no fear in her breath. She moved with the kind of certainty that only someone holding a deadly secret carries. The crew felt it. The walls felt it. Even Kandi felt it before a single word was spoken. The paper in Joyce's hand rustled like a warning. Kandi's eyes narrowed. The atmosphere turned thick enough to choke on. Before anyone could stop her, Momma Joyce dropped the envelope on the table with a cold finality that carved silence across the room. The sound echoed like a gavel striking wood. And just like that, a quiet living room transformed into a courtroom. Kandi stood on one side, stunned, breathless, shaking, while Momma Joyce positioned herself like a prosecutor, ready to expose the truth she claimed the world needed to hear. The cameraman could see the tension rising in Riley's throat as she remained motionless near the hallway, confused and afraid, torn between loyalty and suspicion. Then Momma Joyce spoke, not softly or gently, but with a brutal certainty that sliced through the air like a knife. "I did what needed to be done," she declared, her voice steady, each word sharpening the tension even more. "I ordered a DNA test for Ace and Blay, and the results are back." The crew stopped moving. Even breathing felt dangerous. At that moment, Kandi's entire body went cold. Her heart pounded painfully, her eyes widened, and for a split second she forgot how to speak. Her hands trembled, her lips parted, but no sound came out. She had no idea what was going to happen, and even worse, she had no control over it. Momma Joyce's fingers tightened around the paper. The room shrank, the world blurred, and everything collapsed into that one moment before destruction. Then the words hit the room like a bomb. Someone in the back let out a gasp, someone else cursed, and one of the cameramen briefly lowered his lens because... Even he was unprepared for this, but Kandi snapped instantly, screaming in a strained voice, "How could you? How could you act in such a way behind my back? You have no right to subject my kids to this." Her words weren't just a reaction. It was a desperate cry from someone watching their entire life crumble in front of them. But Joyce stared back without flinching. "You left me no choice," she fired back. "You weren't listening. You refused to look at what was directly in front of you. Why didn't you have worries if Todd did? Why did you shield everyone but the truth?" Kandi was hit hard by the charge. Her knees grew weaker. She reached for the table's edge to examine herself, but the humiliation and outright transgression tore at her from the inside out. She gasped for air. "I was humiliated by you. My family was embarrassed by you. You used my kids as proof of your suspicions. Everything was ruined by you." Momma Joyce, however, continued. "Kandi," she continued, her voice suddenly heavier, colder and sharper, "I have nothing to conceal. You are. And for that reason, their outcomes are important." Riley's breath caught. Her universe, which was based on the idea that her mother had never lied, started cracking. Her lips quivered as she took a timid, careful step forward. "Mom," she muttered, "if there's nothing to hide, why does this feel so wrong? Why would Todd even ask for a test? Why is everyone acting like there's something you're not saying?" That one question, that one fragile sentence, stabbed Kandi deeper than anything Momma Joyce had said. She wept. "Riley, don't do this, not you. Please, I am your mother." "You know me," she begged. But Riley was no longer able to look her in the eyes. The betrayal was reciprocated. Momma Joyce, seeing Kandi fall apart, didn't soften, she reiterated. "You made this mess yourself," she said. After saying, "You got trapped in lies you thought you could outrun, but the truth always catches up," there was an abrupt hush that completely destroyed any optimism in the audience. With trembling hands, Kandi cleaned her face before turning to face her mother with a heartbroken and angry expression. "Do you believe you have saved this family?" Her voice broke under the weight of destruction as she spoke. "You ruined it." Joyce remained still, didn't offer an apology, didn't falter. Rather, she struck the last blow. "No, I revealed what had to be revealed. The entire world will witness it as well." Kandi sobbed uncontrollably. Her shoulders gave way. She appeared to have had the earth torn away from her feet. However, the charge itself wasn't the worst part. In Riley's view, it was the judgment. The way she continued looking between the test findings and her mother, trying to find a truth she never would have suspected. In order to capture the anguish, tears, disbelief, and devastation, the videographer zoomed in. This was no longer merely a family drama. This was a public disintegration, a fall from grace, a scandal that was about to blow up on the internet, ruin reputations, and destroy all relationships. Furthermore, the harm was irrevocable as soon as Momma Joyce used the term guilty, even if it was implied or spoken in tone. Kandi stumbled toward the door, gasping for air as her feelings spiraled out of control. She wasn't even sure if she wanted to run, scream, or pass out. Every step appeared to be painful. It sounded like heartbreak with every breath. Momma Joyce had lit a match, but even though she was broken, she turned back and muttered, "You had no right, it didn't matter. What was done was done." Everything was being consumed by the flames. And this family was going to experience an unprecedented degree of instability, because the questions were now public. Who is the true father? Todd pushed for this exam, but why? Momma Joyce thought Kandi was hiding, but why? Something. And why was Riley questioning her own mother all of a sudden? It wasn't a rumor. This was not conjecture. This was a real-time war breaking out. For a few seconds, Kandi remained still. The room sat still in the aftermath of a truth she never asked for. And she just stood there, shaking and struggling to keep herself together. Whatever hope remained in that house was choked by the stress. Each breath was more difficult than the last. Every second became intolerable. Her universe, which she had created with confidence, self-assurance, and selflessness, was now in jeopardy. A thread that Momma Joyce had voluntarily severed. Then Todd entered the doorway, as if his life wasn't already being torn apart by pandemonium. He didn't look shocked. It wasn't perplexity, it was worse than that. A weary, icy acceptance that said he knew more than he ever acknowledged, something that made Kandi feel even more queasy. His gaze strayed from the envelope to Momma Joyce, and then down the corridor to the children's bedroom. The hush surrounding him seemed accusing, as if he had just arrived to see the consequences of a choice he had covertly backed. Kandi gasped for air. "Did you know?" she asked in a barely audible whisper. It is sounding like a devastated woman pleading with her husband for a shred of devotion in a betrayal-filled home. Todd remained silent. No confession could be heard above that hesitancy. Riley's eyes began to well up with tears once again as she covered her mouth. Her heart broke when she realized that both of the grown-ups she trusted might be concealing something. Her hands trembled as she slowly retreated, as though she had entered a nightmare from which she was unable to awaken. Kandi waited for Todd to deny everything as she gazed at him. However, he didn't. He remained still. He remained silent. He didn't keep her safe. Momma Joyce folded her arms as if she had been anticipating this, awaiting the moment when the truth would finally trap her daughter and leave her with no way out. Kandi's voice broke as she added, "You see, even he won't defend you because he knows the blow landed harder than any scream." "Knows what? That you went behind my back? That you violated my trust? That you humiliated my children? That you turned my life into a circus?" Momma Joyce didn't flinch, knows that something hasn't been right for years. Everyone felt it except you. Todd's excitement grew as he exhaled through his. He turned to face Kandi for the first time, and his expression was neither encouraging nor loving. It was hurt, irritated, and nearly bitter. Hurting wasn't the goal. "You," he muttered. Kandi's eyes grew wide as she said, "It was about finally ending the whispers." Todd remained silent, confirming everything. "Whispers? What whispers? You think people talk about me and him? Why, kids?" Another layer of pain caused the room to move once more, cracking. Riley moved forward, her voice quivering. "Mom, did you ever have a moment of doubt about anything?" As if she detested even posing for the subject, her voice faltered. What Kandi was hearing was unbelievable. She was being questioned like a stranger by her own daughter. "I never doubted my children," Kandi murmured, her voice trembling with intense passion. "Not once, not for a moment. They are mine. I raised them. I love them. I protected them. And the fact that the people closest to me, the people I trusted, think I'm hiding something, that kills me." But the damage was spreading faster than her words could stop it. Momma Joyce took a slow step forward, and her tone steady like a prosecutor continuing her case. "If you are so sure," she said, "then why does this hurt you so badly?" The room froze once more, and Kandi's face was etched with betrayal like new. "You ruined my life," she muttered, her voice hollow. "You're ruining your own life," Momma Joy yelled back. "Lies always catch up." She blinked quickly, trying to breathe, trying to understand how her own mother could say something so cruel, so wicked, so deliberate. "These aren't lies," Kandi cried, her wrath erupting with a rawness that came from a deeper place than anything she had previously displayed. "These are my children," she yelled. "They didn't ask for what you pulled them into. You inflicted humiliation on a household that didn't deserve it. In your quest to disprove me, you treated my infants like suspects," she continued, even though a sob burst from her voice. And you, her hands shaking, she gestured to Todd. You gave her permission. You allowed this to occur? When Todd did speak, it was in a soothing tone that made matters worse. Riley cried, I needed answers too. Dad. The air left Kandi's lungs. You require responses. What are the answers to that? Todd averted his gaze as if the truth were too painful to speak. You changed, he murmured. You became aloof. You no longer had faith in me. You excluded me. You also became defensive whenever I questioned you about the children. Kandi gave a fierce shake of her head. Did you believe that I was lying about my own kids? Concerning their father? Todd touched his face. What do you expect me to feel when someone consistently pushes you away? I didn't want to think about it. Do you believe I shoved you away? Kandi's voice trembled with devastation as she growled, You asked me a question. You didn't trust me. This poison was put into my mother's head by you. Momma Joyce interrupted sharply. Nothing was planted by him. Long before he spoke, I could see the warning signs. Kandi felt a new surge of agony. Indications? Which indicators? The distance, Joyce remarked. The things you stopped talking about. The secrets. When a daughter is concealing something, a mother can tell. Now Kandi was crying uncontrollably. She was torn apart, not simply injured. You don't know me, she replied in a shaky voice. The emotional temperature in the room increased once again. You know your version of me. The version that fits your suspicions, but not the real me. Beneath the stress, you could practically feel the floor vibrating. With a heavier voice than before, Todd spoke once more. It did make it this far, even though I never wanted it to. Kandi lost her temper. Because none of you had enough faith in me to speak with me first. Riley wiped her face, looking conflicted. We just wanted the truth, Mom. Kandi's devastated gaze on her daughter nearly brought the gathering to a standstill. You already had the truth, she said. Then something occurred that completely altered the course of the evening. You just didn't believe it. Momma Joyce took out another envelope from her purse. Everybody froze. Kandi's heartbeat froze. Todd tensed as well. Already shaking, Kandi questioned, What is that? Momma Joyce held it like a weapon. A second report, she said. The crowd exploded in gasps as he said, Something you need to see. Something that proves this family deserves honesty. The expression on Kandi's face said it all. Another test. Another secret. Another bombshell waiting to explode. She had no idea what was within, but she was certain that it was going to damage something she wasn't prepared to part with. Everything in that house came to a halt as the envelope hung in the air, like a death sentence. Kandi's hands trembled as she gazed at the second envelope. Her thoughts running more quickly than her heartbeat. All of her instincts cried out for her to stop, to ignore it, to move on. However, something more profound, a need for closure or a perverse curiosity, kept her grounded. With shaking fingers, she broke the seal, and as soon as the paper unfolded, the air appeared to freeze. The outcome was disastrous. Once more, her world fell apart, but this time, the damage was more severe. The DNA revealed realities she had only ever imagined in her nightmares. The life she had constructed behind a well-kept facade, and the father she had claimed were no longer in line with reality. Blay and Ace were the offspring of a man she had never quite accepted. She was left speechless, vulnerable, and completely powerless by the revelation, which burned hotter than fire. Momma Joyce's gaze remained icy, unwavering, and predatory, and even as she watched her daughter unravel. This is the truth you avoided? Kandi, she said. Every syllable is deliberate and incisive. Todd moved forward, his look a mix of silent relief and guilt. You can deny it, scream at it, cry over it, but it doesn't change reality. You've been hiding from it for too long. He said the words, We tried to get you to see reason, almost quietly. However, denial speaks louder than any proof. Riley's gaze shifted from the sweets to the outcome. a look of bewilderment and suffering that no child should have to endure on such a young face. "Is this true, Mom?" The weight of disappointment caused her voice to break and tremble. The daughter who had revered her mother as a stronghold suddenly had to deal with a situation that caused everything she knew to fall apart. The envelope slipped from Kandi's hands as she fell to her knees. The walls were closing in on her, choking her. Her cries reverberated, and a horrifying blend of anguish and fury. Momma Joyce didn't back down. No, this can't be happening, not like this." Her voice was eerily quiet and evenly measured as she drew nearer. "You wanted to protect a lie," she remarked. "This is what happens when deception rules a house. You prioritized pride over honesty, and now the truth is out." The room became chaotic. Nobody could escape the tempest that was produced by Kandi's weeping, Riley's inquiries, Todd's silent judgment, and Momma Joyce's unwavering assurance. Every sound was amplified, every look turned into a charge. The catastrophe that was happening in real time was reflected in every heartbeat. Kandi's rage flared up again. The room rattled as she let out a scream and slammed her hands against the table. "How could you betray me in this way? How could you use my children, my life, and my dignity as proof?" Riley's voice broke through the chaos. "Perhaps this is greater than us, Mom. Perhaps this is about what's best for Blah 1 and Ace." Despite her shyness, her remarks had a sharp edge that broke through Kandi's cloud of rage. The tension was heightened by Todd's tone. "Kandi, you deserve the truth. That is how much you owe them. For them, if not for us." Kandi's eyes flicked from her mother to her daughter, and for a split second she realized something horrifying. In the court of her family's judgment, she was all by herself, in front of the people she most trusted. She was naked. Momma Joyce persisted. "This cannot be reversed. History cannot be changed. This is the result of every decision you made and every secret you kept. And now everyone can see what happens when dishonesty takes over a household." As simple observers, the camera team recorded every detail. The shaking hands, the damaged eyes, the cracked words, the silent cries. They were aware that this was more than a family drama. This was a heritage coming apart, a tragedy playing out via a lens that would today be shared online. Kandi has a rough, hoarse voice. "I handed them everything. I made a sacrifice. I was in love. I guarded. And it was still insufficient. You all believe that I deceived and lied, and that's intolerable." Riley's face was wet with tears as she moved in closer. "I no longer know who to trust, Mom." The words struck like another stroke from a hammer. Kandi's body sagged under the weight of treachery, loss, and unfathomable anguish, and her knees buckled slightly. Every bit of poise, every ounce of control crumbled. Momma Joyce remained unflinching. Her palm hovered over Kandi as she stretched out, not to console her, but to remind her of the power of the truth. "Kandi, it's not about comfort. It has to do with reality. Furthermore, reality doesn't wait for your emotions." With a long, steady breath, Todd seemed to be releasing years of frustration and dread. DNA isn't the only factor here. It's about being truthful, taking responsibility for our actions, and at last escaping the darkness we've all been living in. Kandi's sobs became shouts. She struck the couch. The floor was smashed by her. Her agony made the room tremble, and in an attempt to ground her in some form of reality, Riley grabbed for her mother despite her own anguish. However, the fracture was too deep. The betrayal was too acute. Once an image of authority and control, Kandi's world has crumbled into a patchwork of suffering, shame, and inevitable exposure. At last, Momma Joyce spoke almost softly, but her words were deadly. "Kandi, there are repercussions for every lie. There is a reckoning for every secret. More than you deserve solace, Ace and Blay deserve the truth." Once more there was silence in the room, but it wasn't tranquility. It was unpleasant, stifling, and tense. Heartbreak, rage, and impending catastrophe permeated the air, making everything seem heavy. Kandi recognized that the walls that had previously shielded her were now her cage as she surveyed the fractured faces of her family, including the mother she revered, the husband she had once trusted, and the daughter she loved. "You all are wrong," she said in a wounded whisper. "You think exposing me fixes anything. You think destroying me and my family in the name of truth makes it better." Riley's face became glum. "Maybe it's not about destroying. Maybe it's about surviving together," Todd said, looking at Kandi with a slow but steady voice. "Mum, maybe it's not about destroying. Maybe it's about surviving together." But Kandi shook her head violently. Together after everything, after betrayal, after secrets, and after lies. "Agree. There is no togetherness." She never only saw the fallout, only this devastation. The children Ace and Blay had long since been moved to a room, shielded from the storm for their safety. "We can't change what happened, but maybe if we survive this, we can rebuild. Not the lies, but the truth. That's the only thing that matters now." Kandi's eyes filled with tears once again. The rage, the betrayal, the humiliation, and the heartbreak collided within her. She felt every accusation, every doubt, and every shattered piece of her life pressed down like an unbearable weight. Momma Joyce watched silently, unyielding, a predator satisfied with her strike, yet fully aware that the wreckage she created might consume everyone, including herself. And as the cameras continued rolling, capturing every cracked word, every shivering breath, every tearful glance, it became painfully clear this wasn't just family drama anymore. This was a public unraveling of viral spectacle, a tragedy ready to engulf everyone involved. Kandi's cries echoed through the house. Riley's heartbeats whispered, filling the hallways. Todd's silent condemnation reverberated like judgment, and Momma Joyce's calm. Relentless certainty hung over them all, a grim reminder that truth, no matter how devastating, always comes at a price. The story didn't end here. The fallout would reach social media, reach the public, and ensure that what happened behind those walls would never be forgotten. Because sometimes the greatest scandals aren't made up. They're lived, they're felt, and they're captured for the world to see. And for Kandi, Burruss, Ace, Blay, Riley, and everyone in that house, the reckoning had only just begun. The room was left in absolute chaos, shattered trust, broken hearts, and the kind of emotional wreckage that doesn't heal quietly. The world was watching. The internet was already buzzing. And the storm of questions, accusations, and viral outrage was unstoppable. The secrets were out, the truth was public, and the family was forever changed. And now the fallout is unstoppable. What just happened inside that house isn't a secret anymore. It's a headline, it's a scandal, it's a story that will haunt every corner of social media. Kandi's world, once polished and controlled, lies in ruins. Ace's and Blas's futures hang in uncertainty, their innocence caught in a storm they never asked for. Riley, torn between love and truth, faces a reality no child should endure. This isn't just family drama. This is a reckoning, a confrontation with the consequences of secrets, lies, and betrayal. The DNA results exposed what whispers only hinted at. And now the entire world is watching. Every tear, every scream, every accusation has been documented. And the digital world will replay this tragedy again and again. Momma Joyce emerged as the undeniable force of truth. But in exposing one secret, she ignited a fire that could consume everyone. Kandi's pain, her heartbreak, her humiliation. It's raw, it's real, and it's irreversible. Every choice, every withheld detail, every Every confrontation has led to this apex of chaos, and the questions won't stop. Who will Ace and Blaze call father? How will this family survive public scrutiny? Will Riley ever trust again? Every viewer watching this knows the stakes. Every comment, every share, every debate keeps the drama alive. This is the kind of story that doesn't fade quietly. It doesn't resolve in private. It explodes across feeds curiosity, fuels outrage, and leaves no room for pretending the truth isn't devastating. So watch closely, because this saga is far from over. The lies, the revelations, and the heartbreak, it's only escalating. And when the world finally pieces it together, the fallout will be unforgettable, shocking, and emotionally relentless. This is more than gossip. It's a viral storm that leaves no one untouched.